And the KGO News Time 744. The fighting on the Gaza Strip is heating. Today, an Israeli airstrike has killed 4 Palestinians. Hamas is firing heavy barrages of rockets at Israel one day after an Israeli civilian was killed in a rocket attack. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is quoted as saying the rocket attacks, in her words, need to stop. On the KGO Live line is KGO's David Gilbert in Tel Aviv. David, good morning.
Hi, good afternoon.
What is the position of the government there?
Well, look, Ed, as you know, Prime Minister Olmert is under quite a lot of pressure to do something about these rocket attacks. If you dial back about 2.5 years, the Israelis back in 2005 pulled out of the Gaza Strip all their civilians, all their soldiers, all their equipment, and the claim at the time was that, well, look, there'll be no terrorism after that because there's no reason for terrorism after that. In fact, what's happened is there's been more than 2,000 rockets and mortars fired from Gaza into Israel over the last 2.5 years. In fact, just yesterday, as you said, there's been an attack on a town that's about the size of Walnut Creek. Today, 8 Katyusha rockets fell on a town that's about the size of Palo Alto. And you can imagine if, Governor Schwarzenegger was dealing with it or President Bush was dealing with such a situation of attacks on Walnut Creek or Palo Alto, they'd be in a very difficult position if they didn't do something about these attacks, Ed.
And the belief is that it's Hamas?
It's clear that it's Hamas. Hamas has taken public responsibility for it. They, of course, have been firing them. Islamic Jihad also has been firing them to a lesser extent. But Hamas is certainly leading the charge here. And again, the claim was, once Israel pulls out of Gaza, there won't be any terrorism. And obviously that hasn't been the case, Ed.
Okay, now, among the dead in Gaza for the Palestinians, 11 militants, 6 civilians, including 3 young boys, a 5-month-old boy killed in the airstrikes, another youth today. This is a difficult situation for Israel because nobody wants civilians killed in these strikes. But is it hard to separate it, or you know that Israel is going to come to some criticism for this?
Look, it's impossible to separate it. You have to realize that there's a low-scale war going on here, and anytime there's a war, you have innocents, you have civilians, and you have militants that are killed. You have all of the above, and it's a very difficult situation. Any country that's had to deal with it, I think, frankly, has done a much worse job than the Israelis have done. The Israelis at least make a policy of trying not to kill the civilians. The Hamas, on the other hand, of course, makes a policy of specifically trying to kill the civilians. So it's a very different philosophy in terms of the way that each side wages war, and you see that in the results. It's very rare that civilians are killed on the Israeli side or by the Israelis, whereas in Hamas attacks, there are always civilians that are killed.
Now, you've seen the concern from the Secretary of State, from Condoleezza Rice, UN Secretary General, saying that he is concerned about it. It has been more quiet than this with just skirmishes. Is there fear that this is going to get into a situation where Israel may have to go back into the Gaza Strip, or where is the fear that we're going here?
Well, the Israelis have been talking tough about going into Gaza for some time now. In fact, Prime Minister Sharon, when he talked about pulling out of Gaza back in 2005, said something to the effect of, if they so much as spit across the border, we're going to level the place. Well, the reality is they haven't done anything. They really haven't done much. There hasn't been any sort of massive army incursion. There have been pinprick attacks from the air. There's been pinprick attacks from the ground. But there are some military strategists that are saying, look, the only way to deal with this problem is a draconian carpet bombing of the area. Now, the Israelis are not considering that. They're saying there's absolutely no way they'll do such a thing. But unless they do that sort of a thing, I think there's no way that these rockets are going to stop anytime soon, Ed.
All right. David, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.